The lawsuits continue for Vince McMahon after his return to the company, being named executive chairman of World Wrestling Entertainment. The fourth lawsuit is actually at WWE and not McMahon over what is being claimed to be horrifying allegations. Gunther is set to defend his Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, but against who? We've got details on that. Plus, after the success of the Pitch Black match at the Royal Rumble, possibly another sponsor match will be taking place at WrestleMania this year. Brock Lesnar has heat for an unplanned spot at the Royal Rumble. Vicki Guerrero has commented on fake quotes circulating about her feelings about the Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley storyline, and which WWE superstars are selling amazing merchandise right now. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. And of course, we've got to talk about Vince McMahon because we've got to talk about another lawsuit, the fourth one that has been filed and made public since the return of Vince McMahon to the WWE, to the board of directors, and once again being appointed the executive chairman of the company that he helped found. But this fourth lawsuit is different than the previous three. The previous three other lawsuits were directed directly at WWE's executive chairman, whereas this time, this lawsuit, the fourth one, is actually directed towards the company itself. Now, there has been more legal action in the form of another lawsuit filed related to Vince McMahon returning to WWE. Previously, there were three known lawsuits filed against McMahon himself, which actually ended up resulting in a bit of an investor dispute, which of course we reported on previously here on the channel. But now there is a fourth, but the key difference here is that the suit has been filed against World Wrestling Entertainment rather than just Vince McMahon himself as an individual. This comes from Bloomberg and it's absolutely fascinating reading. Now, an investor has sued WWE Inc. for more information about, quote, horrifying allegations against Chairman Vince McMahon, saying he hopes to bar McMahon from the company's board he has led for most of the past 4 decades. Now, the lawsuit seeks internal files from WWE to investigate claims that McMahon had sexually assaulted employees and contractors over the course of decades, then paid nearly $15 million to keep the lid on the accusations. The company didn't immediately respond to a request for comment on Wednesday, that being yesterday, the 1st of February. Quote, there are serious questions about how Vince McMahon obtained and delivered those funds to his victims, according to the complaint made public Tuesday in Delaware's Chancery Court. The suit also cites fears that McMahon's comeback in January, where he staged a board coup after being forced out in July 2022, showed, quote, a flagrant disregard for basic corporate governance norms, end quote. Believing, quote, that the rules do not apply to him, Vince McMahon removed 3 independent directors and reappointed himself, as well as 2 of his longtime cronies, the suit says. Quote, the apparent misconduct here is both myriad and extremely serious. Now, the complaint is the latest by a shareholder challenging McMahon's surprise return from a 6-month exile that began when the board asked him to resign over the harassment and hush money allegations. The move reinstalled McMahon as the head of a WWE royal family that includes his daughter, Stephanie, who stepped down as chairwoman and co-CEO in early January, and son-in-law, the former wrestler Paul Triple H Levesque. 2 other cases focus on claims that McMahon violated legal technicalities when he unilaterally made certain bylaw amendments that would have seized power from the board. After he rescinded the changes, the investors behind those suits, including a police pension fund, now want permission to drop their claims and seek a mootness fee for their role in forcing McMahon's hand. Essentially, they believe that their lawsuits forced McMahon to back off some of the bylaw changes that he was making. However, they still want compensation for doing that to the benefit of the company. Now, a third shareholder, the third lawsuit, meanwhile, is pressing broader claims directly involving the sexual harassment allegations. The suit accuses McMahon of breaching his fiduciary duties by harassing employees and paying to cover it up, as well as through his return to the helm. Now, the new complaint is the first of the suits to seek documents from WWE under state law, giving corporate investors broad inspection rights. Record cases, which often reflect an attempt to drum up a fiduciary breach allegations, are typically brought before substantive cases alleging outright wrongdoing. But the suit echoes the most serious claims against McMahon, saying he, quote, appears to have leveraged his position to prey on his subordinates to appease his sexual desires, end quote. He then exploited his control over the company to override the board's judgment that he was unfit to lead it, according to the complaint. If the disclosure of records does lead to a fiduciary breach claims, quote, plaintiff intends to achieve what the board wanted to but could not in light of Vince McMahon's thuggery, end quote, by initiating proceedings, quote, to bar Vince McMahon from ever serving on the WWE board again, the suit says. As I mentioned, it was originally filed under seal on January 26. It's in the Delaware, it's the cause of action section 220 of the Delaware General Corporation Law. Again, whether or not this will go anywhere remains to be seen. Most likely no. Even if it does, it will take a long time. But certainly this is the fourth lawsuit, and this is what WWE's board of directors were worried about and warned Vince McMahon of when he initially made contact to return to the company in late December 2022. The board of directors said to Vince McMahon, if you come back, we have been informed there are lawsuits pending and ready to go, and depending on your actions, we as a company could be sued. That's not good for us. That's not good for the shareholders. And this exploration of strategic alternatives, this sale process you're trying to initiate right now, who would want to buy a company that's got several lawsuits lingering over it? Who wants to buy from someone that's got several lawsuits against him? As of right now, the entire situation has 4 lawsuits. Vince McMahon has 3 against him. WWE has 1, but there are more coming. And this goes back to July last year when the initial scandal began of Vince McMahon's hush money payments to all of these people, totaling the tens of millions of dollars over 15 plus years. It was reported at the time that law firms, 10, 20, 30 different law firms, were all circulating previous victims, were all circulating WWE, preparing legal action, seeing if any criminal laws had been broken, if any company bylaws had been broken, whatever it may be. Lots of people were circulating. There is still, at the moment, government and federal investigations into WWE, into these hush money payments. They're only going to get worse, and this is something that the board of directors did warn McMahon about in those letters, saying if you come back, the spotlight will be shined so much greater on WWE, so much greater on the board of directors, so much greater on yourself, and we know for a fact there are other allegations that haven't been made public just yet, and they could get out and things could go from bad to worse. However, Vince McMahon, being the egomaniac that he is, said, I don't care, and he's come back anyway, and now we're in the situation that we are. So if we get any more details on this, of course, we'll let you know here on the channel. WrestleMania, of course, is on the horizon. Lots of people speculating about what has been the plan or is the plan for Gunther, the Intercontinental Champion, after his incredible performance in the men's Royal Rumble match last weekend. Now, the road to WrestleMania is very much underway, with Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley already set for championship matches at the Showcase of the Immortals. Now we've got an indication to a possible championship match that will take place at the April 1st and 2nd event in Hollywood. WrestleVotes has posted via their official Twitter account, quote, I'm told that while not decided 100%, there are plans to feature an Intercontinental Championship 3-way match at WrestleMania. Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. There are a number of supporters within creative that not only want the match, but they want it towards the top. TBD, end quote. Gunther, of course, lasted a record-setting 71 minutes in the 2023 Men's Royal Rumble match, eliminating both Sheamus and McIntyre from the match before being last eliminated by Cody Rhodes. There had, of course, been previous reports of a far-from-finalized plan for Gunther to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. As for the Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar was eliminated by Bobby Lashley, seemingly setting up a future encounter between the two at WrestleMania or Elimination Chamber later on this month. We've got some more reports about Brock Lesnar later on, possibly having some heat coming out of the Royal Rumble. Now, speaking of WrestleMania, we could see another sponsored match at the Showcase of the Immortal on the grandest stage of them all. And following the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match that happened at the Royal Rumble, wrestling fans could see something similar at WrestleMania 39. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Craig Stimmel, WWE Senior Vice President and Head of Global Sales and Partnerships, gave an indication on what we could expect on the 2-night WWE Premium Live event. Stimmel would initially explain the mindset and media exposure that sponsorship has given, using the Mountain Dew and Royal Rumble as examples, revealing that the post-match press conference at WrestleMania would also be sponsored, saying, quote, we're also going to have a post-match press conference that's going to be sponsored this year. You saw that with Mountain Dew and Royal Rumble, but we're going to have that again at WrestleMania. It's on YouTube and on TikTok and on Facebook, so we're going to have a myriad of opportunities to tell a brand story across different spectrums with different voices. So I think when we approach brands, we want to make sure that the holistic picture is in place. We're looking for that audience overlap. Promising, quote, surprises at WrestleMania, Stimmel said, quote, I don't want to give too much away, but it'll be around a match and the sponsorship of that match and what they'll be able to bring to that match. So we're going to do things that fit inside of our storyline well. In the interview, Stimmel would single out a new sponsor, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Now, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the match. Other sponsors include Pepsi, Take-Two, Mars/Snickers. If that's going to be a match again, I don't know. I know it was very polarizing, the pitch black match at the Rumble. I enjoyed it for what it was, it being a spectacle, and I thought visually it looked pretty cool. As far as a match, yeah, it wasn't a great match, but it was never meant to be, in my opinion. But wrestling's for everyone. There are different things people like and don't like. That's what makes it fun. Now, speaking of the Rumble, and we spoke about Brock Lesnar early on, he's got heat. Not that he cares, because he's Brock Lesnar. But according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Brock Lesnar gained a little heat for a spot at this year's Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar had a brief but memorable Royal Rumble appearance, with him eliminating several superstars before being tossed out himself. Afterwards, Lesnar destroyed the ringside area, lifting the stairs and tossing a referee over the barricade. According to Fightful, they have learned that some of the aftermath wasn't planned and caught a few by surprise. There were a couple of people in the ring and ringside who weren't prepared for the stair spot and didn't know it was coming. The spot where Brock Lesnar threw a piece of the announce table inside the ring was also unplanned. One source said, quote, we knew a freak out was planned and it's Brock, so expect anything and everything, end quote. So all seemed well there. However, the spot that seemed to get Lesnar a bit of heat was an unplanned situation was when referee Eddie Orengo was thrown over the barricade. Fightful were told that initially it looked like he possibly sustained a foot injury, but they're not sure of the status of Orengo right now. He had to sow to the back, and Fightful are told he missed an integral spot towards the end of the match. It's worth noting, though, that when Fightful was told about this and had it confirmed, one source said, quote, heat is a relative term for Brock Lesnar. He's not going to get in trouble. He's certainly not going to get fired like Crime Time was. It's a new regime, new rules, and I'm not sure anyone involved was mad or not, but some people backstage were. Again, when it comes to Brock Lesnar, he doesn't particularly care. I did think that when he was doing it, there were a couple of things that I thought, man, that looked a bit rough. The referee spot over the barricade, I did think looked a bit rough. Even when he was in the ring, some of the suplexes he was doing looked rough. I mean, he threw Santos Escobar to the outside of the ring and eliminated him, and it was a rough landing on the apron, but Brock don't care. And what are you going to do? Who's going to pick a fight with Brock Lesnar and win, most importantly? Brock does what he wants, and we saw evidence of that last Saturday at the Royal Rumble. This is such a strange story. There's been quotes going around on Facebook and on social media implying that Vicki Guerrero is somehow upset with the Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Rhea Ripley storyline, calling him Mammy, wearing the Eddie Guerrero kind of shirt, doing the Eddie Guerrero tributes. So Vicki Guerrero has taken to Twitter to address false stories of a quote about Dominic Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero that has been doing the rounds. For a few days now, a quote has been doing the rounds on social media, allegedly a comment from Vicki Guerrero's Facebook account, but it was pretty quickly debunked as being fake. Unfortunately, the quote still picked up steam and was shared around by some pages as if it was real. The alleged quote from Vicki, which again, this is not real, but this is what the fake quote said, quote, I'm tired of hearing Dominic compared to Eddie. He will never be Eddie in any way, shape or form. It's plain disrespectful. Why someone would make that fake quote up, I don't know, but social media is weird. I'm done trying to understand it. Now, Vicki herself has taken to Twitter to clarify that that quote above did not come from her. She tweeted, quote, I never said this about Dominic or stated any comparison between Eddie and him. WrestleMania, which is one of the people that shared it, you misquoted me. I have supported Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley on their work at WWE. Now, Dominic and Rhea's antics have pushed Judgment Day to become one of the most over acts on WWE TV throughout the past couple of months. Even though they've been kept apart for a while, the assumption would have been that we'll get Rey Mysterio versus his son Dominic at WrestleMania in April. Vicki Guerrero, meanwhile, is still the manager of Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir in AEW. They've mostly been used on Elevation and Dark the past few months, but this is one of those situations where, of course, you had no issue. Was it Full Gear when you had the match between Jade Cargill and Nyla Rose? What did Nyla Rose and Vicki Guerrero come out on? They came out on a lowrider. She was wearing I'm Your Mammy shirt. Clearly she's fine with everything that's going on. And as I mentioned, it's just bizarre that social media would make that up and people would share it and not do their due diligence, which is a shame. finally, it's always interesting to know who's really, really over, and one way to determine who's really popular and over is merch sales. Now, the numbers are not only looking good for the upcoming WrestleMania 39 event, but also for WWE merch sales, where a number of names are concerned. Dave Meltzer spoke on the statistic-themed topic on a recent episode of Wrestling Observer Radio, revealing, quote, WrestleMania is going to set some records. It will not set the record for the highest attendance or the highest gate unless they combine the two nights, which they'll probably do and then claim some sort of record, but it will be the most viewed WWE pay-per-view ever because Peacock is in more homes, so there's more people who have access to it at a lower price. Meltzer would then go on to discuss merchandise sales, naming some WWE wrestlers who are doing well in this category, saying, quote, but I presume that it will do amazing merchandise numbers because that's the other thing that's going on right now is the merchandise numbers are really strong. A lot of the big characters are very, very over when it comes to selling merchandise right now. Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, I'm sure Sami Zayn, which means he doesn't know, but he's guessing. They're hot, that's the deal. Things look good for them going into this WrestleMania season. So, of course, they're going to be selling big merchandise. That was part of the reason Bray Wyatt was brought back. You know, people can claim they didn't like the pitch black match and all that kind of stuff. Bray Wyatt sells merchandise, and he always says he's a license to print money. That's why they brought him back. So there you go, guys. This is the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on all of today's WWE news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.